I want to ask you a question. I think it's an interesting question because he kind of already had his time in the sun. We didn't like fruitcakes very much.
No.
Is this album good enough to warrant Jay Oliver being back, giving him a Secret Hero award?
No.
Wasting away again, away again. Wasting away again, away again. Wasting away again, away again. And Margarita the bed. It's my own damn fault.
Jay Oliver, he's a guy where it's like, I really want to give this guy a Secret Hero award because I like the jazzy influence he has on Jimmy's music. But
It's really the album's
the
not
last
good
time he
enough for
showed up, he wrote fucking Mermaid in the Night. And this time, he's not really fucking doing anything. There's nothing on this album that like warrants. There is not a okay. There is some semblance of Jay Oliver's influence being seen in some of the arrangements. I don't think any of those arrangements are good enough.
Yeah, I think that this album is significantly better than Fruitcakes.
And that is a low bar.
It's a pretty low bar. Like,
Welcome,
we can
everybody.
get into it. This week we are discussing Jimmy Buffett's 1995 studio album, his 19th, I believe, Barometer Soup.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a wave of delirium wash over me.
Just based on the title.
The podcast is starting to drive me up a wall. It's not important. First of all, we get a moment, a beautiful, brief, shining moment where we don't have to talk about Jimmy. Kyle, what have you been listening to this week?
My non-Jimmy musical week has been pretty okay. But I guess I'll regale you with a bit of a story about how my week has gone.
Oh boy.
So up until yesterday afternoon, I've had like the worst luck with traffic. Like I have been hitting like every single red light everywhere I've been driving, right? And I've talked about my driving playlist before. It's 700 songs long. It's probably over 700 songs long. Some of the songs I have on there are from a 1982 Donald Fagen album called The Nightfly. Fantastic album. Really great. If you're an audiophile, it's just like one of the best CD quality albums audio-wise to listen to. It's just a great album in general because it's Donald Fagen. And I really like that album. There's, I think, 8 songs on that album. And I've got, I want to say 4 of them on my driving playlist. So that's 4 songs out of over 700 songs. Now, pretty much every time I was stopped at a red light, it seemed like the title track, The Nightfly by Donald Fagen from 1982 came on. And I like that song. That's a really good song. But when you hear that when you're stuck in traffic over the course of about 5 days in a row, and it seems kind of statistically impossible that out of over 700 songs, that one song keeps popping back up every time you're sitting at a red light. And then, you say, oh, I don't want to listen to this again. So you skip it. And then another song comes on, and I swear to God, every single time, the song after that was another song from The Nightfly. And look, this is a sentence that I've never said before, but I was annoyed with Donald Fagen this week. And
Goodness
then
gracious.
there's that moment that you have when you're driving, right?
Yeah.
Where, at first you think I'm immune to road rage, and then you hit only red lights for 5 days straight, and you can feel your blood boiling, and you're saying, I could commit acts of terror right now.
Yeah.
I'm not immune to road rage. But, I was stalled at this red light for 15 minutes. It was 3:30 in the afternoon. There was there was no accident, no traffic blockages or anything. I have no idea. It wasn't even a particularly busy intersection. I just kept cars just kept like people in front of me just kept like not paying attention and not going when the light was green. So I was stopped there for like 15 minutes, and by the end of it, I was like, you know what? Let's just go listen to the whole album. And I felt better. I felt better after listening to that whole album because that's a good album. And I should not have been resisting Donald Fagen all week, but I was, and I don't know why. And I feel better now that I gave in and listened to The Nightfly. Great album.
Yeah.
What have you been listening to?
Well, I have a couple of notes on the things I've been listening to. I continued listening to some King Gizzard. I was spinning their 2023, I think, sort of electronica pop album, Butterfly 3000, which I love that album. And today, for reasons that have become very clear, I ended up listening to James Taylor's Mexico a lot. The song, not the album it's off of, which is Gorilla, but I might end up listening to it. While we're on a short recording break.
As Jimmy will elucidate in his liner notes, he's familiar with it from the James Taylor's Greatest Hits, the one that's just like a white album with the list of the songs on the cover. And that's actually an album that the Greatest Hits is an album that is near and dear to my heart. It is. I think my mother might have even mentioned this when she was on. That is an album that I listened to incessantly when I was a child because it's one of her favorites. Is listening through that Greatest Hits album.
I'd be lying if I said I knew a lot of James Taylor's music. I had heard Mexico before, but I really, after hearing Jimmy does a cover of it on this album. After hearing Jimmy's cover of it, I found that I really connected with James Taylor's original version in a way I hadn't before. So I've been
Mexico has never been my favorite James Taylor song, but I do appreciate the song. I like James Taylor. I know a lot of people will say James Taylor's kind of like. I know a lot of people say that James Taylor's kind of like drab and like middle of the road, but like, he's fine.
There's a lot of good James Taylor.
Yeah.
Primarily in terms of music, though, I have to use this section of the podcast to severely undermine a narrative I like to spin about my own life, Kyle. And that narrative is this: I am not a musical theater guy. Okay, I like to say I don't really like musicals. I have a minor fondness for Cats and some Rodgers and Hammerstein, and also some Gilbert and Sullivan. Anyway, I saw Phantom this past weekend on Sunday. I saw the current North American tour of Phantom of the Opera because I fucking love Phantom. And folks, if you have a chance to see this tour of Phantom, it's really good. The fellow who they have playing the Phantom, I can't remember his name. He has the most gorgeous melodic voice ever, and there were several times where simply hearing him singing brought me to the edge of tears. He's real good. He's real good.
I have only ever seen 3 musicals in my life.
Okay.
The Book of Mormon.
That's unfortunate.
Jersey Boys.
Book of Mormon. Jersey Boys.
And by the way, this is going to the theater and paying for a ticket. This is not like, that was not like that wasn't like I watched the whatever like Clint Eastwood movie version of Jersey Boys. I went to the theater. I saw the off-Broadway performance of it. And then the other one is during the pandemic, London's West End put on a performance of Cole Porter's Anything Goes from like 1935 that they broadcast on BBC, and then they put it up its entirety for free on YouTube. And I saw that when that happened during the pandemic.
I have not seen that one,
which is it gave me some appreciation for the songs of Cole Porter. So, but yeah, I'm not a musical guy either. We will have a musical guy guest on the podcast for when we have to cover a musical, spoiler alert, for the later 90s. But we don't have to talk about Don't Stop the Carnival yet. We could stop the carnival for the moment. We could hit the brakes on the carnival, and we could talk about...
Or at least slow it down for the time.
Yeah.
Folks, let's talk about Barometer Soup.
Yeah. Let me say, I think it's important to note this when it comes to the charts. Jimmy doesn't like this album hits number 6 on the charts, on the main Billboard chart. and it's doing like, it's doing like all of Jimmy Buffett's albums are doing now, same as Fruitcakes, where it's like it debuts at number 6 and it just rapidly falls off the charts because those like first week units sold are like, that's the top of it. That's the Parrot Heads going out for the new album, and that's what his business is like musically now. And then his cover of Mexico hits, I think, number 25 on the adult contemporary charts, released as a single. And I think that's his last adult contemporary hit for like until he dies.
Damn.
Yeah. But the thing I want to point out here on the charts is if we look back at the top 5 from Fruitcakes just a year ago now, May of 1994, the top 5 were Ace of Base, the soundtrack to The Crow, Tim McGraw, the Benedictine Monks, and Jimmy. Okay? Yeah. The top 5 in August 1995 is the hip-hop group Bone Thugs and Harmony, Hootie and the Blowfish, Selena, and Raekwon, the Wu-Tang Clan rapper, boxing out Jimmy out of the top 5. Like, it's a very racially diverse chart now. We're there, and I
guess that is a major musical narrative of the 90s, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it like the makeup of the charts in just a year, it's gotten a hell of a lot more non-white, and Jimmy is maybe one of the whitest things to ever happen to popular music, which is saying something. But it's just an interesting thing to note in terms of the rising, purchasing power of non-white audiences, the overarching spread of non-white music into predominantly white music spaces, and just the fact that, you see this in the mid to late 60s during the rise of Motown and Stax, and that's sort of tied to the civil rights movement, right? You see it again during the disco boom in the mid to late 70s. But here's a moment that, like, from the mid 90s on, this is not going to stop. It's not a moment. This is just what the charts look like now. There's racial diversity at the top of the pop charts, and that's not going away. That still exists today. Jimmy, he's, I think, less welcome than he was because he's very much still doing the like cultural appropriation thing of a lot of different cultures in his music.
Yeah.
And it's a music that's, tailor-made for like middle-class white people that are working dead-end 9-to-5 jobs.
I also, there's part of me that wonders if, like, by the mid-90s, we find ourselves in a situation where, like, everybody who is predisposed to becoming parrot heads has done that. And so now it's like, well, the parrot head phenomenon, like, kind of stops growing so much in the mid-90s. Like, obviously, he's still a massive touring act, but, like, not like a rapidly ascendant touring act as he has been.
So let me talk a little bit about the context I think like the themes of this album connect to. And as much as I hate to do this, have this become a focal point of this episode of the podcast, I do think that it's one of those major themes that we do have to talk about. It is that 1995, we are in an era of a lot of domestic terrorism happening in the United States. This is the same year that the Oklahoma City bombing is committed by Timothy McVeigh. It's also the year this album comes out 1 month before the Washington Post publishes the Unabomber Manifesto. And Jimmy is writing in a lot of these songs about sort of rejecting civilization and social norms and conventions and returning to individualist values, which connects a lot to what these guys are saying. Not necessarily the same way. I mean, Tim McVeigh and Jimmy Buffett, very much opposite ends of the political spectrum, but...
Yeah, Jimmy is kind of appropriative at times. Timothy McVeigh was a full white nationalist, like fascist dude.
Jimmy also has this background. Like, he was supportive of the Sea Shepherds earlier in the 90s. Like, he has an eco-terrorist streak like sympathetic streak to him a bit. But
that
yeah,
does
there's
show on this album.
yeah, there's this definite theme in the songs of the album that focuses on escapism that's like more so than I would say like any of his albums since like even Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes going that far back. I don't think he focuses on escapism nearly as much on all of those in-between albums.
I'm going to read more of this review at the end of the podcast, but I found a review for this album that was in Entertainment Weekly on August 4th of 1995. And I think it has like something that's kind of interesting about this, where it mentions, I'm just going to read this paragraph really quick. It says, Barometer Soup introduces several new wrinkles into the Buffett formula, none of them encouraging. The first is nostalgia so apple-cheeked and sentimental that even Bob Dole might want to hear a rap record over it. On Night of Pain in the Sky, he swoons over feeling like a kid while setting off a firecracker. He openly pines for the carefree days of youth and barefoot children. Jimmy dreams is Buffett's overly flattering portrayal of his own Peter Pan syndrome, as if to rationalize his behavior, which of course he isn't, or to imply he's just a kid after all, which he isn't. Buffett's a 48-year-old music and publishing mogul with stock portfolio as thick as one of his novels. That he depicts himself as the world's luckiest beach bum isn't vital to his image, is vital to his audience. The exclusion extends to the other new element in Barometer Soup songs, the recurring theme that money isn't everything. If you take one look behind the shine, it doesn't always gleam, he sings in Diamond as Big as the Ritz. One of several songs that question the value of wealth and success. Given Buffett's own status, these odes to the laid-back, downsized lifestyle ring false. But they speak to an audience of affluent, aging yuppies who want to think they can throw it all away at any moment, even if they never will. For them, Buffett is a bromide. If he can dream of chucking it all, so can they.
It's interesting that they're pulling at a lot of threads that we've discussed a lot on this podcast already. And I obviously, like, 100%, you know, I'm in agreement with this review that it's definitely very concentrated on this album, those themes. And but
I have
they're definitely not
today, and I
new.
think they're all great.
Yeah.
No. This is pretty standard Jimmy fare, but, like, there is an element of, like, Jimmy doesn't write about like being like rich and famous very much, right? Usually it's sort of like he doesn't like the image of being rich and famous. It kind of counteracts the image of being like this review says, the world's luckiest beach bum. Like recognizing that it's not really there, which is like maybe more important for Jimmy as he becomes like a successful businessman.
Yeah. I think about this album like in terms of the relationship between Jimmy and the Parrot Heads, which is that they quite literally revere him, and he knows that, and he plays into it.
Yeah.
Jimmy is feeding into the mass media process for escapism in a way that's kind of analogous to the process of mass hysteria and violent rhetoric breeding a risk of stochastic terrorism in the 24/7, news cycle. So I was recently rereading an essay by Chuck Klosterman, a really great essay called The Two-Dimensional Fourth Dimension, which is about the role of news media in shaping, or rather failing to fully encapsulate the contours of all of these events, domestic terrorism and whatnot, in the 1990s. And these pieces of like radical individual secessionism, like the Ruby Ridge standoff, the Waco siege, the Branch Davidians, that sort of thing. And I really can't help but think that the incomplete picture that Klosterman talks about being presented to the average American viewer is in part an influence on some of the themes in these songs, because Jimmy himself is like the average American viewer of these news channels, right? He's not a deeper critical thinker than the average American, I don't think. And there's definitely a streak of escapism in Jimmy's music that predates this, we know that. But it really seems to have a more severe edge to it by now. Like, you're not escaping to the tropics because you want to and you can, but because you are desperate to shed your current life and all of its trappings. Like, there's elements to this in so many of the songs on the album, right?
I think this is kind of indicative of like larger cultural trends of the 1980s and 90s.
But I mean, I mean to say is that like the pro-Reaganite streak that he's had since like the late 80s, it's sort of like fully mutated into full-on anarcho-capitalism in some ways.
A pretty important part of the 90s, just sort of culturally for the United States, is that the entire country went completely fucking insane after the Soviet Union collapsed.
Yeah.
Like, just literally, like, it really does feel like it's important that to note that like people for whom Americanism is like a vital aspect of identity kind of lost all ability to function after the Soviet Union collapsed.
Yeah, and
like,
I
they
think,
literally didn't know what to do with themselves.
like, Jimmy has always done the whole "we're crazy and free-loving people" sort of thing. The Parrot Heads, or I mean, I guess before Parrot Heads was an official term, the Jimmy's fans, right? It's always been an aspect to his persona, right? But by this point, he's taking his influence on the Parrot Head community, and he is producing some like real incitement to quixotic delusions here. He's talking a lot about just like throwing away your name and your job and just living on your own, like without a care in the world. And it's frankly irresponsible from him. But
it does kind of feel like we have come around to the idea of Margaritaville being a cool place to go. Like literally vanished to get blackout drunk in the Caribbean.
To that point, you know.
Like we've been there for a little while, but it feels like ideologically Jimmy's caught up with that notion.
Yeah. The Coral Reefers aren't all 100% fully behind this. There's an interview that Greg Fingers Taylor, as of last week, Greg Mouth Taylor does an interview in late 1994, published in the Coconut Telegraph, it was republished in the Coconut Telegraph, which is going to make sense in a second, because some of these things that Taylor says are like very much not something that you would expect to show up in the Coconut Telegraph. If it was an interview with the Coconut Telegraph. He's asked what his favorite song of Jimmy's is, and he says Death of an Unpopular Poet. And then he goes on, unprompted, to kind of lament that Jimmy doesn't really explore the more introspective side of his music in concert anymore. Yeah.
Fingers? I'd like to apologize to you. I've said some unkind things about you in the past, sir. That's a.
And then
I was unfamiliar with your game, Fingers.
So, Jimmy's sub-label, Margaritaville Records, moves from MCA to Island Records in 1995. Some other major moments is that Jimmy has a dog that's named after him that runs in the Iditarod. Crazy.
That might as well be happening.
Yeah, might as well. The Margaritaville business empire finally builds its official website in summer of 1995. That's when they launch. And then
we are in the internet age.
Yeah.
Officially.
October 23rd, 1995, Michael Utley has produced the latest Margaritaville Records release, which is the Parakeet album, Songs of Jimmy Buffett by the W.O. Smith Music School Singers. These are a bunch of damn children singing the songs of Jimmy Buffett. The songs played including all of our favorite whimsical jimsicles: Chanson, Jolly Mon Sing, Off to See the Lizard, Delaney Talks to Statues. It's almost exclusively like, can I read you this track listing?
Yeah. Read me the whole track list. This is
insane.
Okay.
So children are singing first off Christmas in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And then we move on to Volcano, La Vie Dansante, Jolly Mon Sing, Little Miss Magic, Cheeseburger in Paradise, Off to See the Lizard, Chanson, Come to the Moon, and Delaney Talks to Statues.
Yeah, I feel like that's the exact list of songs that I would have eventually come up with to give to a group of children from Jimmy's discography. Trying to be like the songs of Jimmy Buffett sung by children, like that's a minefield.
You
gotta pick carefully. You're not giving those kids like a Why Don't We Get Drunk?
Okay, but like Big Kosher Pickle and a cold draft beer off a Cheeseburger in Paradise, you want children singing that? I mean, frankly, you want children singing I Don't Want to Land on No Ayatollah from Volcano?
No, hold on, back up. I think we should have children do like just the entirety. I want to hear like a Kids Bop version of White Sport Coat, like just the whole album.
You want to hear them do Why Don't We Get Drunk and Screw?
Okay, maybe not that one. But I'm just imagining like Cuban Crime of Passion sung by a children's choir.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, the 1995 tour is the Domino College Tour. There's 51 shows.
Going back to school.
There is no new personnel of note either here or on the album, except for the fact that Jay Oliver is back doing some synth programming. keyboards, and he co-writes all but 2 of the songs on the album. The main songwriting group for this album is Jimmy J. Oliver, Roger Guth, Peter Mayer, and Russ Kunkel, who co-produces the album with Jimmy. I talked to guest of the pod, Matt, this week. Got some scores for you. We have a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, and a 10 on the Mattgarita scale on this album.
There's a 10 on this record?
There is a 10 on this record. Our second ever 10. For those of you who may not remember, the Mattgarita scale. How often our friend Matt hears this when he worked at Margaritaville. The only 10 he had heard, which means you hear it every single time, and it sticks out like a sore thumb, sometimes multiple times per shift. Pencil Thin Mustache is currently the only 10. But we're going to have another one this week.
Is it
Coconut Telegraph in winter 94-95 has a little bit of an interview with Jimmy where he talks about his artistry, and there's a really wild quote to precede this album with here. So,
okay.
Here's what Jimmy has to say on his artistry. Basic thing is I'm an entertainer. I always have been. I started as a saloon singer, and I'm not out there trying to save the world through my music. I'm just there to give people a couple of hours of relief from world problems, which historically takes you back to the minstrels. It's a really simple point for me to be in that category. I'm not trying to do anything else. As for my politics or my passion for the environment, I do them on my own. I don't try to take the audience with me. I don't use my music as a vehicle. And now we move on to an album that opens with the lines, "Follow in my wake, you've not that much at stake. For I have plowed the seas and smoothed the troubled waters. Come along, let's have some fun. The hard work has been done. We'll barrel roll into the sun just for starters." Completely demolishing the last 2 sentences of that review right in the first 4 lines of this album.
That interview. There's so much of that is insane that I think I just don't even know what to comment on specifically until we get to the points in the album where it's relevant. So this album opens with the title track, Barometer Soup.
It's a 5 on the Mattgarita scale.
This is the 5, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw out my I'm just gonna throw the dart now. I think the 10 is probably The Night I Painted the Sky. No, the 10 is Diamond as Big as the Ritz, because I know that that's Jimmy's favorite song on the album. This song, Barometer Soup, yeah, I think it is aggressively fine, like just mediocre. Like
that is what I thought. I thought this song was just like, it's just concentrated like Jimmy cliches at this point. Like you get this far into Jimmy's discography, and all of these, like all of the soundscape, all of the lines, the way that the song is structured, it just sounds like the median Jimmy Buffett song for this era.
It really does. Like,
which is still bad, I should say.
This song has like a little bit of dynamism in its structure, which I think is kind of enjoyable to listen to, just because it breaks up the tedium of listening to more Jimmy.
Yeah. We of course get the first of, I believe, 3 references to the title with the line "Barometer's my soup."
I believe there are 3.
And when I first heard that line, I literally went outside. I literally out loud said, "What the fuck does that mean?"
I literally don't know and cannot be bothered to give a fuck what Jimmy's talking about.
It's Barometer Soup is a Mark Twain phrase. Okay. If you can believe it, Jimmy's borrowing from Mark Twain again. Actually, not following the equator this time. It's A Tramp Abroad, which is a different travelogue that Mark Twain did. Supposedly, what the anecdote is from the book is that Twain can't remember if you're supposed to boil a thermometer or a barometer to make it, to like recalibrate it. And so he throws his barometer into a soup being made in the galley on this ship. And everybody seemed to like the quote-unquote barometer-y taste, and so kept asking for barometer soup. Now, here's the thing. A barometer, much like a thermometer, has liquid mercury inside. And if you boil glass that was made in the 19th century, chances are you're going to crack it. So I think what the taste is everybody's getting mercury poisoning.
I think so, yeah.
That's what's going on in the 19th century, folks.
I cannot remember where I read this. If this is something we discussed, I think not. But I read somewhere that the way that they wrote this album, this might have just been like something I read on the album's Wikipedia page, was that Jimmy literally dragged the entire like writing crew to a library in Key West. And just said, "Get your asses in there. We're gonna read." Because Jimmy, for everything we have to say about Jimmy, he's a literate fellow. He likes reading like literature. He likes being like well read.
Yeah, a lot of these songs are based off of books and short stories.
It's a lot of that, and so I guess they really liked that Mark Twain story.
Yes, the liner notes for the album have Jimmy talking about each of the individual songs in a little CD booklet. And for this one, Jimmy says that the term Barometer Soup was actually first mentioned to him by a guy named Herman Wouk, who's going to be a recurring character of the 90s because Herman Wouk was an American author who wrote the book Don't Stop the Carnival, which Jimmy is going to adapt into a musical.
I was like, literally, like, you said that, and I was like, I feel like I've seen that name recently. I can't imagine where. And then my eyes caught the copy of the book that I have on my desk.
Yeah. Yeah. Jimmy also says in the liner notes that in the countries where I feel the most comfortable, the barometer doesn't dance much. Hot and humid sums up the climate I like the best. And I think that is positively psychopathic.
Yeah, it's like 70 degrees today in Seattle, and I literally feel like I'm gonna start throwing shit out my window.
But also, like, if you're down in the Caribbean, I feel like the barometer does change a lot. Like, the pressure must change a lot, considering that you have hurricanes down there. Those are low pressure systems, like exceedingly low pressure systems. So I feel like that's just simply not accurate, and Jimmy doesn't know how to use a barometer.
Yeah, I don't know. This song's like moderately enjoyable, but ultimately just kind of like nothing.
From this moment on in the album, and this is not going to be something I think for the rest of the album, but towards the end of the song, on my first listen, I was like, I think this album might end up echoing Son of a Sailor, where it's essentially just trying to copy the sound from the previous album, and by missing it, it actually does it slightly better. Because I feel like it's trying to echo some of the like ultra exotica carnival sound of fruitcakes, but it's not quite getting there, and so it's less annoying than fruitcakes. But that doesn't apply. That does not apply to the rest of this album.
No, I was gonna say I don't think that's but I could see you getting there from the first song.
Yeah.
The second song kind of immediately throws that concept out the window, though.
Yes.
So the second song on this album is the song "Barefoot Children,"
containing the line "Show me yours and I'll show you mine." Which, Jimmy, you're not beating the Jeffrey Epstein allegations with that line in this song.
Jimmy, come on, dude. Is this song a whimsical jimsicle?
I was so bored by it, I didn't even think about it.
No, it's like, it's not that objectionable aside from that line. I think it's just kind of dull.
I think it's dull, and I don't think that the Barefoot Children line needed to be in the song. And I think it would be a better song if he just changed the line from Barefoot Children from the Rain to, I don't know, pretty much anything else that would have fit that rhyme scheme.
You know what else would have made it a better song? If it was shorter, because this song is 6 seconds short of 5 minutes. Like,
oh man,
it's too long.
There's going to be another irony about song length later on in the album.
There's some song length, shall we say, issues on this bad boy. I don't really have anything else to say about Barefoot Children other than I think it sounds like a 90s alt hit in a bad way.
Yeah, no, if it weren't for the Show Me Yours and I'll Show You Mine thing, I would say it was an AHAG. But I think there's a better option for an AHAG on this album.
I also think so.
But and this is luckily it is a 0 on the Mattgarita scale.
I'm glad to hear that.
Now we move on to
the Bank of Bad Habits. Left Turn.
Yeah, well, I figure, like, musically, it's kind of reminiscent of the Pascagoula run, but I think in, like, a bad way.
Yeah, I don't hate when Jimmy gets into like the tropical rock's the one that I really hate. The country rock is like often kind of fine.
Yeah, the
song is,
Southern
like-
Hooligan, Jimmy's version of outlaw country. We like when it like shows through just a little bit again.
This song is like
Yeah.
it is a worse version, I think, of Pascagoula Run.
Yeah.
I think that like the core concept of the song about just sort of being like, oh, I've got a lot of like bad habits stored in my head that I'm like just kind of like sometimes
Yeah.
those might slip out again, right? I don't hate this concept of the song. I think sometimes like it's expressed a little clumsily, and no more clumsily than the weird like kind of Christian bridge.
Yes, I was going to say, is this song is ultimately fairly sort of like non-offensive, middle of the road, and then we get to in like, if
Yeah,
not
let me
the
read,
bridge.
Let me read the exact line that I think is where this song really takes like a bad turn. So put away those alibis. You can't fool that banker in the sky. He's talking about the Lord. And then he says, "Let me tell you about the 7 deadly sins."
And then he proceeds to fuck up the 7 deadly sins because coveting is, of course, the 8th commandment and not one of the 7 deadly sins. It's avarice or greed that he's thinking of.
Yeah, so it's thou shalt not have pride in thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not lust after thy neighbor's wife. Do not be angry with your neighbor's wife. Do not eat thy neighbor's wife popcorn. Do not envy your neighbor's wife. Do not be a slob. And the 8th deadly sin is pizza.
No. It's not do not be a slob. It's do not be a sloth like the animal. That's the joke
lyric
he's
sheet,
making.
The lyric sheet in the CD lining says slob.
Well, Jimmy, you fucked up the writing of your own song. I made a slightly better joke than you, and it still sucks.
And the 8th deadly sin is pizza.
Yes, and then there's this. Yeah.
And
pizza
then there's
delivered with maybe more emotion in Jimmy's voice about anything than I can't remember when Jimmy has like sounded genuinely excited about something in a song for as long as we've been doing this podcast is when he says pizza on this album, like he thinks he's about to get a slice of pizza.
It's
It's honestly, I swear to God, if I were to isolate his vocal, it would have the same inflection as him saying
Cheeseburger.
it very well may. This song's just kind of asinine. I don't know. It's like kind of close to like interesting and good, but it's just
asinine. And for that, it gets
really
a 6 on the
throws it out the window.
Mattgarita scale.
a 6.
Yeah.
Now we move on into I think the longest song on the album. Yeah, just shy of 6 minutes. Remittance Man.
Remittance Man. So first of all, 2 things. Number 1, it's a 2 on the Mattgarita scale. And Jimmy never played this one live his entire career.
That's predictable from Jimmy, but honestly kind of a shame because I think this is the best song on the album.
This is definitely the best song on the album. I do think this is a song that is good, not on a curve. It's got character work.
Yeah.
It's Jimmy wrote an okay 3rd verse, and then he wrote an okay 4th verse, which is like crazy. You never see that from Jimmy these days.
Yeah, I think
One
this
of the-
song
one of
uses
the-
Catholic imagery in an interesting way.
Yeah, one of the major factors in knowing that this is a good song is that this song is also based on part of the Mark Twain book Following the Equator, but you wouldn't know that because he doesn't fucking say the name of the book or Mark Twain's name in this song.
Which, frankly, not a given for Jimmy's work.
No, in the 3
inspired
other
by
songs,
literature.
he literally says, he mentions Mark Twain in all 3 of the other songs.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I like this song. It is like a pretty tragic portrait.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's very effective.
It's a guy who's outcast from his family, but like essentially the whole point of like remittance and the way that they're talking about it is like that like they're like the fuck up of the family and essentially of like a rich family, and the rich family says, keep our name from going sour because of your actions. We're gonna put you on a ship, and every time you go into port, you'll be able to like you can get your remittance, which is just like it's your allowance for until you get to the next port, and we're just gonna essentially pay you. It's literally just like the I'm gonna pay you to fuck off meme.
Yeah, it's the very outcast situation for this character. It's an interesting song. It's an enjoyable
Yeah,
song.
it's I think the most compelling song that talks about, like individuals in isolation and like the inner demons that
Yeah,
occurs on this album.
I also think it's interesting for Jimmy to have a song about a guy who has been essentially banished to the sea, right? Like, and
Yeah,
is
because
like,
it's usually from the opposite perspective. It's wanting to go to the sea rather
yeah,
than being
being driven
forced
to the
stay
coast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this fellow has been, like literally like given an ultimatum, like you are going to go live on a boat, essentially. And that's so it's an interesting song for Jimmy to have written, right?
Yeah,
Um,
good for you, Jim. Moving outside your comfort
yeah,
zone.
I don't really have anything else to say about it. I think it's an interesting, good song.
It's a good
Legitimately
song.
good.
Yeah, let's move on to Diamond as Big as the Ritz, which
Yeah. So
you said no. Wait, yeah, did you say this was you thought this was the 10 or you
at first I said I thought it was the night I painted the sky, and then I was like, no, it's Diamond as Big as the Ritz for sure.
This is a 9 on the Mattgarita scale.
Okay, I think the night I painted the sky is the 10 then for sure. That, close though, but like I don't think this song is like especially bad.
Yeah, I don't
It's not
think
good.
that either.
It's like,
I think on the scale of this album, this is a good song.
yeah, like this kind of sounds like a cut from Off to See the Lizard. I think we hear a lot
Yeah,
of J. Oliver's musical
100%.
influence on this song.
This is where I was first thinking, like, I'm glad that J. Oliver's back, thinking about giving him a secret hero, and then the rest of the album happens. Like, didn't do enough, buddy.
Can't give you that, man. Yeah, it's a okay song, but then
Yeah,
it's too
it's
long. It's 5 minutes and 20 seconds. It doesn't need to be that long.
it doesn't, especially with how few of the lyrics there are. It's a story song. It's not a happy one. It's based off of a short story by F. Scott Fitzgerald that has the same name. Apparently, according to the liner notes, this song was also inspired by Jimmy watching a documentary on Pablo Escobar. So, another connection to terrorism.
Jimmy, we can't ask him, but he's okay. Like, what's it's the 90s. People aren't crazy.
I don't know. I mean, Jimmy's just sitting here thinking, like, yeah, I guess he thought. I mean, yeah, Pablo Escobar was a greedy guy, so greed corrupts. That's part of this song. Hey, money is the root of all evil. That's it's a Christian greed is the root of all evil. Money is the root of all evil is a communist thing.
Yeah.
It's another Christian thing. The greed is the root of all evil.
Yeah, it's kind of like, again, like not uninteresting for Jimmy to write music about how money is like kind of bad and puts you in bad positions sometimes, but also like, okay, fuck off, Jim. You have so much money, right?
Yeah, it's very much like a John Lennon Imagine situation,
Yeah, like, okay, sure, John, sure, man. And it's also that, like, how that sort of feeds into like parrot head escapism, like that review mentions, is like it's a salient aspect. But I don't know, the song's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. That's all I have
It's
to
okay.
Say.
This album, there are very few. I want to say really quick. There are very few songs on this album that I think are honestly really bad. Like
yeah,
most of the ones I dislike are kind of like just boring, aggressively fine, or like just kind of like dull.
Yeah, there's gonna be a run of decently bad songs on the B side. But first we have the last song on the A side of the cassette, Blue Heaven Rendezvous, which scores a 1 on the Mattgarita scale, and much like Remittance Man, never played live.
Again, I think a little bit of a shame. Like, I don't think this song is like great, but I kind of think that like Jimmy wrote an all right crooner.
Yeah, it's a true new crooner. So you know, it's better than Honeydew. It's better than Pre-U.
It certainly is. It's like honestly like a very enjoyable.
Yeah.
The thing about those other two, like obviously the two that are like kind of looming large over Jimmy doing crooners are his recordings of Stars Fell in Alabama and Slow Boat to China, which are really truly excellent performances by Jimmy and the Coral Reefers. And one of the things that he does really effectively and in one, he just does it sort of through the music, but through the other, he does it by making a skit really effectively. He's like painting a scene about through that music.
Yeah.
And I think he does that really well here, is that like, you know, you get like a really nice scene of like this sort of crooning happening and at like some sort of like tropical like restaurant or something. It's
yeah. So
this
is part.
It works really well.
This is, you know, one of those like Jimmy DNA things that we've been consistently enjoying, which is that when he actually talks about being in Key West around the places he has a genuine emotional connection to. And the Blue Heaven was a restaurant in or actually is still a restaurant in Key West. I don't think it's under the same ownership it was at the time. Like, Jimmy has a genuine connection to the place that he's talking about having the rendezvous at. So, you know, I think there's, you know, maybe an emotional core there that it certainly just wasn't there in Honeydew and Pre-U, and that's why it works better.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's today we had the episode for Florida Days come out, and I haven't finished. I listened to some of the old episodes so I can keep track of things I've said, because I don't remember everything I've said, and I'm like, I should remember those things. But I listened to part of it, and you had talked in the early parts of that episode about how like a major part of Florida Days is just that like so much of Jimmy's output in the mid 80s feels kind of like his heart's not in it. He doesn't really care. He's just writing the music to write music, to put an album out. And like it kind of feels largely like he's kind of back in that mode a lot now that we're kind of in the mid 90s. Like he's kind of back into like literally putting out albums to put music out, right?
Which
not
is
necessarily because he has something to do. To
weirder, because Jimmy's not in a position where he has to do that. He had to do that in the 80s really, because there was no other source of income for him. He's doing really well now. He's doing gangbusters every year on tour. He doesn't have to put out new music, and he stopped doing that for a number of years because he was like, I don't have to. He recognized that he didn't have to.
Yeah, there's part of me that also wonders, like, you know, sometimes when like you have somebody who's like artistically like a writer, and Jimmy's definitely is a writer, right? Even if his writing is often kind of
bad,
just bad.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just get in that situation where it's like, no, you need to get the words out, right? Like I write half of essays and then never finish them, right? I have like 70 on my computer that I'm just probably never going to finish. And Jimmy writes half-assed albums. And so like that's kind of where we are now, because like he'll do that and like maybe these albums would end up unfinished on a hard drive somewhere, except that he has a whole team of people around him to make sure the album gets finished. So
yeah, it could be that.
Yeah, but you can tell there are a couple of songs on this album that like genuinely Jimmy has some emotion behind, and this is one of them.
Yep, and that makes it a better song on the album. I'm just looking through. I think this is the other. I think this is the other one. I would probably say that Not on a Curve is a good song by Jimmy.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
I would definitely say so.
And because
it's nothing on the B-side.
Nothing on the B-side, folks. And we will see you on the B-side in just a moment. So we start off the B-side with a solo-written Jimmy song.
It's the only solo Jimmy track on this album. It is the song Jimmy Dreams.
So this is a song that Jimmy says was written 7 years prior to the album's recording. So it dates from the...
Does that put it 98?
88. Dates from the hot water era. Boy, does it start to sound like it. He was fascinated with the Pleiades, because he's a nerd. And apparently, when he wrote the character Desdemona for his 1992 novel, Where is Joe Merchant, he again was obsessed with the Pleiades, so I guess that's why he revived this song. Desdemona, of course, made a cameo appearance in the song Fruitcakes, and she will appear again in a future 7-minute song called Desdemona's Building a Rocket Ship, so we have that to look forward to. Jimmy also says of his dreams in this liner note, some mornings I can wake up tired from the places my mind has taken me while I was asleep. He's like, boy... Anyway, this song scored a 0 on the Mattgarita scale. I think this is the true whimsical jimsicle of the album. I think he wrote a whimsical jimsicle for himself, and it sucks.
I wanted to say I think this is the most AHAG song I've ever heard in my entire life.
You know what?
Because
you're probably
because it is
right.
One, I have 2 points in this, right? It is more AHAG than any of the other AHAGs we have done because it is one, forgettable, and two, masturbatory. Right? Like,
well, that would put it in the same vein as Ain't He a Genius?
Exactly, right? Like when you first mentioned that about Ain't He a Genius, I was like, this song's not about Jimmy. That's ridiculous. And the more I've thought about it, because we have thought about it much more than anyone's ever thought about that song, the more I'm like, no, that song was definitely about Jimmy. And this song is undeniably about Jimmy.
I have put a note next to it saying perhaps more AHAG than AHAG itself.
It may be, but it's just like so like.
But
like
yeah, now that you've mentioned that,
there's other songs on this album that are forgettable. I just don't remember like what this sounds like, except that it is like forgettable and like the lyrics are like masturbatory. Like that's all I remember.
I had it pegged. I had AHAG pegged probably to The Night I Painted the Sky, but now that you've mentioned this, I am fully in this camp.
The Night I Painted the Sky is another serious contender, but I just kind of think that song's just like also not great.
Yeah.
Like,
do we need to mention this song anymore? Frankly,
no. We really don't. I don't think.
Let's move on to La Genome, which is
La Genome. This is a.
I'm sorry.
It's a dance track.
Did you expect, or did you predict a Mattgarita score for this song? Because I don't remember which score you gave it.
I did not predict one for this one. Is it the 10?
This is an 8. This is also based on a short story, or maybe a chapter from the novella Legend of the Fall by Jim Harris. So this is the song where I was really thinking like we're crossing the boundary from vacation pornography into like something far more lurid and irresponsible. What I wrote down was engaging in the stochastic terrorism of quixotic escapism.
Yeah. I could definitely feel that from this song. This is like, first of all, I want to say on our last episode about Now Fruitcakes, I came out as a big defender of kind of the dance track on that album, which is Apocalypso. I think Apocalypso is a way better song than this.
Yeah. But the whole point about Apocalypso, it's not like glorifying this idea of like, hey, here's a guy who like had a, normal life and he gave all that up and he even gave up his name and he did, I don't know, whatever the fuck is discussed in this song. I didn't focus on that. I mostly focused on the giving up all of his earthly possessions and his fucking name and stuff. Because I think this is Jimmy just saying essentially like, don't you want to do this? You should do that. Like he's inciting people to do this.
When I first heard this song, I kind of felt like it was just kind of forgettable, but you've kind of sold me on the fact that the idea that this song is actually like more sinister than I thought about it as.
Yeah, along with the song that actually uses the actual term terrorism, I think this is the most terrorist song on the album.
A lot of terrorism.
Actually, the next song is also kind of terroristic.
Is that because it is terrorizing our ears?
Well, do you want to move on?
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about.
Yeah. Okay. So, don't you know, folks?
Don't you know?
This song is a 10 on the Mattgarita scale.
This is the 10?
Yeah, this is the 10.
Dude, this is inciting me to terror.
And it's like, I just wrote, like, I am getting very sick of these vicarious poor judgment songs. But yeah, okay. I mean, like, this whole thing, like, it's the outcast in all of us. The next song Jimmy's going to say, he's the outlaw in all of us, is like doing way more than just like, just leave your job and your wife and head to the tropics song from, like, like the weather's here, wish you were beautiful. It's 100% like inspiring people to go off the grid and do domestic terrorism or something. I swear to God. Yeah. The manifesto by the Unabomber was published in the Washington Post, authorized by U.S. Attorney General Janet Reno, September 19th, 1995, 1 month after this album released. This has to be one of those inciting factors for all of those copycat people. I swear to God, I will find evidence. I will find evidence of somebody citing Jimmy Buffett in a terrorism attack.
I think it's possible. I want to say, I think that this should not go unstated. I think this is the worst song on the album because I think it's extremely obnoxious.
Yes.
In a way the other bad songs are not.
And then Jimmy, of course, starts quoting Volcano at the end as well.
Let me read my notes for this song. I wrote, I think the song is pretty obnoxious. The refrain is the worst of it. Folks, the refrain of this song is, don't you know, don't you know, don't you know, which gets said to approximately 7 million times. Not much else to say about it. I put a line here and wrote a little note for myself that says, outro starts. And all of the rest of these notes are in all capitals. Fuck off, Jimmy, I'm going to kill you. Stop quoting Volcano. This song is indeed too long.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about that line. This song has gone on way too long is set at the mark of 3 minutes and 25 seconds. That is shorter than every other song on this album. Don't You Know is the shortest song on this album. And I also happen to fully agree with Jimmy. The song has gone on way too long.
They don't actually have the text of the outro on the liner notes, but I want to say the liner notes is he says the song and I'm like, that's obnoxious, and then he starts going, it's kind of like another song, and then they go, I don't know, and then he's like, this kind of reminds me of another song where I didn't know. I can't really remember what that was.
And he's like, I could name that song in 2 notes or something like that.
Yeah, literally something like that. And then he just keeps talking. He talks like that for a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And it's and then he's like, oh, this song's going on too long. And it's like, yeah, dude.
In the liner notes, Jimmy says, this song is also inspired by the wisdom of that aviator, Frank Bama, who is a character who has appeared, I think, another song on this album. Now, Frank Bama is a character from his own fucking book. Jimmy created and wrote the character Frank Bama for Where Is Joe Merchant. And to say that the song was inspired by the wisdom of a character that you wrote yourself 3 years ago for a book, it's pretty masturbatory, folks.
Well, that book was written by Marvin. Jimmy hadn't read it.
Unfortunately, it is attributed to Jimmy. And this song is also attributed to Jimmy, so I don't think the Marvin Defense can come into play here.
Let's move on to a song about an actual eco-terrorist.
Let's move on to a song that I think is probably, along with Why Don't We Get Drunk and Screw, one of the most obvious zeros on the Mattgarita scale we've ever had scored.
Yeah.
And also, guess if you can, has this song ever been played live? No, it was never played live.
This is the Ballad of Skip Wiley, folks.
Yeah. So I do want to say Skip Wiley is a character in the 1986 Carl Hiaasen book, Tourist Season, and he is an eco-terrorist in that book. Number 2, Jimmy is confusing environmental terrorism with eco-terrorism in this song. Skip Wiley's not an environmental terrorist. That would mean terrorizing the environment. He is an eco-terrorist, which is terrorizing in the name of preserving the environment.
Yeah. Where do we start with this song? This song contains the second of 3 album title drops.
Yep, the Barometer Soup is you. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's meet me for lunch at the Reptiles brunch. Okay, Jimmy, where the Barometer Soup is you. My very first note to this song is this is like Florida Man the song.
This is one of the most pre 9/11 songs ever written.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much a Florida Man the song. Skip Wiley does a bunch of crazy shit. There's some interesting lines that kind of push this in very much what I would describe as an eco-fascistic direction.
Yeah, can I just say, we essentially started this week on this album where I listened to it, I was looking at the lyrics, and I sent you a message that was something along the lines of...
keep in mind that 1995 is the year of the OKC bombing and the publication of the Unabomber Manifesto. And I said, I'm not especially fond of that being relevant context.
Oh, yeah, it's what you say. Yeah. But it is relevant context, is it not?
It sure is. I want to point out this line specifically. He was last seen atop a mangrove, perched like a wounded osprey. He was not meant to last. He belongs to the past, and I hope he gets there one day.
Yeah.
Folks...
Jimmy's had a line similar to that before.
Jimmy says, reject modernity, embrace tradition. It's really
which is back to this idea that nostalgia and kitsch is inherently fascistic.
Inherently fascistic. Right? Yeah. Folks, I wish I could say that it was rare for people interested in ecology to fall for eco-fash bullshit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is not rare.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to talk
ecology
about
to
one
fall
of these
into it.
people in just a second. I want to point out that the
Yeah.
chorus is, "He's crazy and dangerous, but who else can you trust? He's the outlaw in all of us, the environmental terrorist." So, like, outside of the fact that like Jimmy clearly means eco-terrorism, Jimmy's back to he's the outlaw in all of us, which was the same as like there's the outcast in each one of us, and don't you know? The who else can you trust thing is descendant from Reagan's, the 9 ugliest words you can hear, or I'm from the government and I'm here to help. It's very much into the whole, individualist ideals, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Which are, like individualism is very much not fascism, but it very much feeds into the Unabomber sort of.
I would also argue that,
Yeah.
and in as much as fascism is a syncretic set of beliefs, I'm a big. The folks, if you're interested in scholarship on fascism, which of course you are here at this podcast, I highly recommend you read Umberto Eco's Fascism. But, in as much as fascism is a syncretic set of beliefs that sort of changes based on where the fascist movement is happening, fascist movements in the United States are intensely individualistic in rhetoric.
This
right?
is very
Not
true,
so much
yeah.
in practice, but because fascism is never really individualistic in practice. But in rhetoric, it is the rhetoric of individual worship is heavily important for American fascist movements.
Yeah. I noticed that Skip Wiley's accomplice in this song is named Skink. And he's like, boy, does Jimmy like naming accomplices after reptiles. After Snake and Gypsies in the Palace. Skink is actually a Carl Hiaasen character, but not from that book. A different book.
Okay.
He's also... here's what Jimmy has to say about this. Skip Wiley has always been a favorite character of mine, along with Skink, the ex-governor turned roadkill connoisseur. It's too bad these kind of people only appear in books. We could use a few more skinks and a lot less newts these days. So, first of all, number one, props to Jimmy for the Newt Gingrich dig in 95.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Second of all, do you know a politician who might also be considered a roadkill connoisseur who's maybe in the news recently?
I see what you mean. Maybe was not a politician until fairly recently.
Yeah, but also somebody who definitely Jimmy was already affiliated with, because on September 2nd, 2023, the day after Jimmy Buffett dies, current, now unfortunate Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And noted roadkill connoisseur wrote on his Facebook page, "R.I.P. Jimmy Buffett, my dear friend and environmental ally of 40 years, including serving as a founding board member of Mobile Baykeeper. Jimmy was a born waterman who channeled his childhood obsession with the ocean into brilliant maritime ballads that spanned the 7 seas and fueled his successful music career. Buffett's maritime passions inspired the Parrot Head movement, an ideology that begins with a love for our waterways and respect for each other." And I think we can collectively tell RFK, fuck off, that's not what the Parrot Heads are, let us deal with them.
It's literally like the rest of this is like mostly wild because RFK Jr. is saying it. That last line about the Parrot Head movements is like, hold on, I don't think you know what Parrot Heads are. That's like actively like I have a problem with what you've said here.
Yeah, definitely not. But and by the way, by the time Jimmy died there, RFK was already deep into his campaign for president. I wasn't able to figure out whether Jimmy thought good of RFK by that time. My guess is not politically, because Jimmy has consistently been a really liberal guy on mostly the right side of politics for a while.
Primarily, yeah. Like he had a Reaganite turn. A lot of liberals had Reaganite turns.
Yep. Yeah, it was a big problem with liberals in the 80s, and it haunts us to this day, but...
by God, does it. I don't think it's that bad of a cut on the album, to be honest.
I hate to say it, but I think you're right.
It's definitely not. It's like, maybe this is like one of the more objectionable songs on the album, but like worst song on the album? No.
It's a song that's worth talking about in Jimmy's career, because boy does it say a lot of things.
It has several things to say. Are they good things?
Things that are important to talk about, and who would have guessed we would end up talking about RFK Jr.
Or
But
citing Umberto Eco on this podcast. Yeah.
holy God, yeah. Jimmy was, I'm assuming, probably friends with RFK only when he was not a crazy anti-vaxxer, but who knows? We haven't gotten
Well, the
to that
brain worm really changed things, you know?
Yeah, we haven't quite gotten to that point with Jimmy Buffett yet. So we when we get to the anti-vaxxer movement, we'll see if he became an anti-vaxxer or not.
I don't think he does, but also like I feel like the time that like
Signs
that
at
new
this
anti-vax
point,
movement.
yeah, signs at this point to no, but that's also true of, RFK Jr. at this time.
Yeah, we'll have to see. How about we move to a song that is about way less? Like,
Yeah, The Night I Painted the Sky, a 0 on the Margaritaville scale, or the Mattgarita scale. Jimmy's on the island of St. Martin, which is an island that is half French, which does not celebrate the 4th of July, and half Dutch, which does not celebrate the 4th of July. And he's celebrating the 4th of July with fireworks on the beach, which the liner notes at least say, like, he's with a couple of American expats who live there. And the painting the sky is apparently he says a French phrase, and I don't know about this for certain, whether it's actually a French idiom, that painting the sky is what you call setting off fireworks. But, yeah,
I mean, I don't know French that well. I've never heard that before, but could be.
Yep. Like I said before, this was like a potential AHAG to me. So it was like, it's inoffensive because I don't like feel angered by it, but also I just like, it's nothing. I feel nothing.
It's kind of forgettable. It's not kind of forgettable. It's very forgettable. It's very overlong and a little bit dull. I feel like maybe if I liked fireworks more, because like I don't hate fireworks, but I am at best like mildly fond to ambivalent.
Yeah, I don't care for fireworks.
Like if there's a fireworks show and I'm already at like some sort of party, I'm like, oh, shit, let's go watch these fireworks, right? I don't feel the need to watch fireworks all the time. And secondly, if we were not more familiar with kind of how sinister Jimmy's nostalgia like writing can be, I think I might end up liking the song more, because like I could see being emotionally affected by this song, but it would have to be a different sort of person who was not as familiar with Jimmy.
Yeah, this is one of those songs that the Parrot Heads are like, this is a really great deep cut introspective song from Jimmy. And it's interesting just how many of those 12-volt man Love in the Library were just like completely forgettable, nothing of a song.
Yeah, this is there is no substance to this thing.
Yeah, and that brings us to the last song on the album, the only cover of this album, Mexico, written by James Taylor, which scores a 7 on the Mattgarita scale. Can you believe they played this whole thing plus the outro at the Margaritaville 7 out of 10 times, man? Jesus Christ!
Wait, what was the 10? What was the 10 on the album?
The 10 on the album was "Don't You Know."
I thought you said that was an 8.
No, La Je Nom I was an 8. And the Diamond as Big as the Ritz was a 9. We have the third mention of the phrase Barometer Soup in the lyrics here.
By God, will we get to it? So like I like James Taylor quite a lot. This is not my favorite James Taylor. I do like this song, Mexico. It's a good one. Jimmy covering it is a little bit on the nose, because it very much is like this sort of exoticist escapism.
Yeah.
A little bit, right?
Well, the lyrics literally say, "I've really never been, so I don't really know," which is not a line you would expect for Jimmy to sing in a Jimmy written song. There is like not a self-reflection, but a sort of a self-flagellation that you wouldn't get out of Jimmy Buffett.
There are 3 things about this cover of Mexico that I really dislike. First of all, I kind of just dislike it, right? Like musically.
Yeah.
First of all, the main point is that it is much louder and brasher, I think, than James Taylor's version.
Yeah, it's
right?
got the horns kind of and everything.
It's got the horns. It's kind of reminiscent of what Jimmy did to She's Got You. He's Got You. From Fruitcakes, right, where he kind of turned up the volume, made it louder, brasher, sort of like a little bit more rollicking.
Yeah. I don't think that changes the tone as drastically as on She's Got You, obviously.
It doesn't.
I mean, the other part about She's Got You is that he made a lot faster. I think tempo-wise, this is pretty much similar, though.
It's very similar, right? So it's like, it's not like that much worse. I do dislike it, right? The second thing that I dislike about the song, and this is something I realized I disliked about the song as we were talking about this album, is that we talked a little bit at the top of this section that, like, narrativistically, Mexico is kind of like, it does kind of fit into Jimmy's oeuvre, right? Even if it's like a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Tampico
sort of
Trauma
concept-
is in Mexico.
Yeah, from a perspective of inexperience is not necessarily like what
Right.
we expect from Jimmy.
Yeah.
Being the top end of this album does kind of make it feel like Jimmy is telling people to go to Mexico to become environmental terrorists, eco-terrorists, I mean. Like, that does kind of feel like what's happening, right? And
This
so
is the
for that reason,
Incitement to Violence album.
I have some problems there. The third note I want to make about this is that the outro makes me want to throw whatever's playing the song out a window, because the outro,
Yeah, it's just
is-
him mentioning every fucking character from every fucking song.
Jimmy references every other song, all 11 other tracks on the album during the outro. Not, I would say, in a way that is especially like clean or elegant. Just
No.
kind of like blunt force, scattershot, just referencing random shit going on here.
It sucks, folks.
It's pretty bad, folks. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. I want to talk about what Jimmy's liner notes say about this song, which
Okay.
he starts off by, like, let me give some background on this. I don't think I mentioned this last week, but Jimmy's involved in the plane crash, quote unquote plane crash in 1994. He's in Nantucket and he goes to take off his seaplane and he almost immediately like noses right into the water and he gets some minor injuries. Like, he's able to swim out of the sinking plane. He's really not injured, as per the incident report. He characterizes this story, this plane crash, in the liner notes as quote unquote a brush with death, which I think is hyperbolic. And then he goes on to say, in the days after that experience, the thing that stuck in my mind was that life is still just a tire swing, but the rope may break at any minute. I decided then to be even more spontaneous to sudden impulses. And come on, man. Is that not just like, is that not just more support for my thesis that this is a pro-terrorism album? Like, come on. Like, he justifies this. He justifies the song by saying he was listening to James Taylor's greatest hits CD. The song came on. He was reminded how much he liked it, and so he recorded it. Say yes to sudden impulses. That was his whole point of prefacing it with the quote unquote brush with death. But like, just saying be more spontaneous to sudden impulses is just a wrong note to end the album on.
This is like, Jimmy being kind of tongue-in-cheek with it, like, run away to the Caribbean, enjoy, like, get drunk every night, haha, go do some terrorism. It's a little bit more sinister, I think.
Yeah,
I would say significantly more.
Yeah, it's bad. It's
bad.
How are the reviews for this album?
Oh God. Okay, well, I've got 3 reviews for you. All of them are contemporaneous, as far as I can tell. I'm going to start with the all music review from frequent subject of this segment, William Rollman, who says, "Haven't gotten back."
I have a review that is a direct response to William Rollman.
I'm excited for this. So let's do this. We'll do this William Rollman review. You do the response, and then we can go read the other reviews. Okay.
Okay.
So William Rollman says, having gotten back the record-making habit with fruitcakes, Jimmy Buffett repaired to the Monroe County Library in Key West. This is where I read that. During the winter of 94 to 95 with cohorts Russ Kunkel, Jay Oliver, Roger Guth, and Peter Mayer, where they read fiction and came up with most of the songs on Barometer Soup. Hence we have Remittance Man, drawn from Mark Twain's Following the Equator, and Diamond as Big as the Ritz, loosely adapted from F. Scott Fitzgerald's short story. Typically there are also the comedy numbers, Bank of Bad Habits, and Don't You Know, and an appropriation consistent with Buffett's philosophy, James Taylor's Mexico. Much of the music is low-key, though there are a couple of up-tempo tunes to add to the concert repertoire. As Jimmy Buffett albums go, this is another one.
Man, oh man.
I think that is like the first time that William Rollman has written a review where I was like, that is a perfect like encapsulation of this record. There's no statement of quality. This is exactly how I feel. Just like, man, yeah, this is another Jimmy album.
Yeah, I mean, That's where we are, folks. So we got a user review response to that William Ruhlman review by Joe Prisco, published on September 18th, 2019. And he quotes, he quotes the last line, "As Jimmy Buffett albums go, this is another one." He says, "Yes, it's an album made for the already faithful, but so what? Chances are this won't be your first Buffett album anyway. Fruitcake's Barometer Soup and Banana Wind outlined a high watermark for Buffett's songwriting. Each album also had a few songs which were expendable, but the batting average was high, and Barometer Soup was the most successful of the three. The literary references run rampant. If you haven't read Twain or Fitzgerald, this might get you to start. But you don't actually need to know these stories, although you might want to read Hyacint's Tourist Season to understand the Ballad of Skip Wiley. Bank of Bad Habits shows Buffett funny as ever, and The Night I Painted the Sky ranks with the best of his sensitive singer-songwriter offerings. Longtime parrot heads will appreciate the running gags and inside references as well. In many ways, this album was a summing up and a return to form, with the title track a perfect summary of his career to that point. Viva la Buffett! Exclamation point. 4 stars, and I've put in parentheses, Coronas, 4 Coronas.
4 stars out of 5.
4 Coronas out of 5 in memory of Head Parrot Head.
Yeah, Head Parrot Head, of course, is not with us anymore. Okay, I have an album from the Los Angeles Times by Mike Bohm in September 2nd, 1995. He gives it 1.5 stars out of 4.
Fuck yeah, let's go. What's Mike Bohm say?
Terminally and happily becalmed in the land of the Lotus Eaters, Buffett stirs a pot of smooth and carefree, fervent and sentimental folk pop with a sickly sweet saturation of steel drumming for flavor. His music's inherent shallowness wouldn't be so annoying if Buffett didn't also set himself up as a fish barrel philosopher ladling out a lifestyle creed that oozes self-satisfaction.
Fish barrel philosopher?
Yeah. Just really
it's good shit. Oh man,
it's a pretty good one. That's a mean ass review. I liked that one.
Yeah. I mean, Land of the Lotus Eaters, a little bit racist, not quite accurate, but
yeah. I wanted to read a little bit more of this Entertainment Weekly review I quoted a little bit from earlier.
Okay.
So let's see here. For someone who remains best known for one song recorded nearly 20 years ago, Jimmy Buffett is swinging pretty these days. He has a clothing line, 2 best-selling novels, 2 restaurants, and a custom record label. 26 albums under his belt, the latest being Barometer Soup. And of course, his devout fans, the Parrot Heads, a Hawaiian-shirted alternate universe version of the Deadheads, who, when not dragging margaritas out of their coolers at his high-grossing tours, are presumably wearing his sports shirts, reading his books, and buying his records. What makes this modestly talented craftsman the object of such adulation? For starters, Buffett was the original rock slacker, extolling the virtues of the nonconformist semi-plastered lifestyle, but without the nihilism of today's generation. A textbook case of arrested musical development, Buffett hasn't changed course since his late 70s breakthrough. I disagree with that, but that's because we are cursed. With knowledge. Barometer Soup follows the formula established in the string of interchangeable albums he began cranking out once Margaritaville cemented his beach rocker persona. There are the Odes to Partying, which have the feel of an aging frat boy wistfully recalling his lampshade on the head days. There are a handful of mawkish ballads, plus the hammy musical tall tales. There's also a cover, this time of James Taylor's Mexico, which in Buffett's hands truly sounds like a dope smuggler anthem. A lot of the rest of this is like the stuff that I already read about sort of like weaponizing nostalgia in a bit and sort of like the notion of like money kind of corrupting, I guess. But I just want to read the last section again. It says, given Buffett's own status, these odes to the laid-back, downsized lifestyle ring false, but they speak to an audience of affluent, aging yuppies who want to think they can throw it all away at any moment, even if they never will. For them, Buffett is a bromide. If he can dream of chucking it all, so can they. He gave this album a C. I assume graded on sort of like a traditional scale.
Yeah.
Of like F to A.
Which case, that's an incredibly gracious scoring.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, I think that, like, it's like, I love this mean review. I do kind of feel like this album is like, Jimmy's recorded so much worse than this.
Yeah.
Like, is this a good album? No. But, like, Jimmy is, like, is this, like, as bad even as, like, it's nowhere near as bad as, like, the bottom feeding albums, right? Like, I think this is an improvement on Fruitcakes, for example. Are there any boat drinks this week?
Boat drinks, I think I got boat drink fever. Waitress, I drank 6 more boat drinks. 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 Somebody sound the alarm.
If it's any indicator of the quality of the album, this week we have 1 boat drink, and that is a mention of rum on Bank of Bad Habits, and that is it. That is it for boat drinks. How's the Steel Drum watch?
He went to Jimmy, looking for steel drums bothering him so. Well, steel drum killed his lady, left him with only one question. Which way do I steer for my steel drums?
It's honestly pretty boring. Like,
Yep.
the instruments are sometimes played in like different and interesting ways. Interesting is strong. They're played in different ways. But like for the most part, there's not really anything especially different on this album as has been for like the past couple. Like Jimmy's kind of landed on a sound that he really likes, so we're just stuck with it. I didn't hate most of Robert Greenwich's performances in this album, I guess, is like the note I want to make.
Yeah,
They're kind of forgettable, but they weren't obnoxious.
This album is definitely one of the Jimmy Buffett albums of all time.
I really feel like William Rollman like struck it like perfectly.
Hit
Like
the nail
this is another
on
one.
the head.
It's another one. Like what else is there to say?
Yep. Yeah, that's how it is, folks. I think that's probably going to do it for us this week.
It sure is.
We're going to be back next week with what could be better for July of 2026, but a Christmas album by Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, that's next week. Oh, it is.
Yeah, it is. But for now, I've been Kyle.
I've been Tom.
And this is Discography Wasting Away 2026's review of 1995's Barometer Soup. We'll see you next week. Play us out, Jimmy.
Wasting away again, away again. Wasting away again, away again. And Margarita the bed. It's my own downfall.